right.
Cool.
Think we are on.
Nice.
If I could get my screen to start working. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Where I get an echo there. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Wellness Wednesday. So excited to have you all here today. And I'm very happy to be interviewing my fellow admin, Chris Poorten today. So if you're here with us live, drop us a hashtag live, say hello. Let's get us going in the algorithm here. For those of you who don't know who I am Brittany, holistic nutritionist, owner of Fresh and Fit Nutrition, one of the admins of this group, and super excited today to get to interview my friend and partner, Chris Poorten, certified holistic health coach and owner of Rock Your Health coaching. So hello, Chris.
Thank you. So good to be here. It's been an amazing journey working together, running this group over the past year or so, and help doing these Facebook Lives with the practitioners for the past. I think we started it back in September, so it's been a really great journey.
Yeah,
Everyone.
Super fun and a little change of pace. A couple of weeks ago, you got to interview me, and now I get to interview you, my friend.
Totally. It's awesome. So good to be here. And the group is growing exponentially fast. If anyone has noticed, I think 150 people joined this morning. We're talking about another 100 or so within the next 24 to 48 hours or so. So it's really great. It's awesome to see so many people that are looking to grow their business and support their health and well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. We have such an amazing, wonderful, and unique community, right? We have the mix of people looking to get healthy, and then we have, other health practitioners, coaches, things along that line. So we're a good mix of both. So it's definitely a unique community, and I just love how everyone comes together and supports each other and answers questions, and and just being part of this group with you and what we've done and where we started when we got this group, and then where we've brought it is really incredible. So I'm super excited to keep this momentum going into 2023 and just continue to grow and just help people become the healthiest versions of themselves.
Absolutely. We don't have to say too much, but we realized for the past 2 years or so, whatever's the monkey in the room, the elf in the room, that our health is more important now than ever. Which really comes down to, though, as Brittany had mentioned many times, the simple things. It's simple to us, but really, when it comes to our health and well-being, it really doesn't take high-level education or learning to really be able to implement into your lives. Drinking water every day. Which helps out. Haven't had soda since Valentine's Day 2010. I've got a weird memory, but I remember that. I haven't, mostly sugar-free for 10 or 11 years or so. But like I said, drinking water is simple thing you can do. Being active is simple. You can take a walk outside. You can take a walk at the gym. You can do some yoga inside your house. You can practice mindfulness techniques. Eating clean food, of course, from God's green earth. Fruits, vegetables, as Brittany says, to stay away from boxes, barcodes, and what's the other B?
The 3 B's, boxes, bags, and barcodes.
That's it. Cool. Exactly. So like I said, those simple things really make a big difference, and it's going to pay multiple dividends day over day and so forth. You don't eat one apple a week and expect that to be good, but day over day it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. It's being consistent throughout those habits. And speaking of that, you mentioned you have been sugar-free for all these years, you've been gluten-free. So to start us off, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got on your own health journey and kind of how it brought you to where you are and the whole gluten-free story and all of that?
Sure, I'd be happy to share. So I was born September 24th, 1981. That's not the point, but I've always loved helping people. I originally went to school for psychology, social work back after high school in early 2000s. That wasn't my exact direction I wanted to go. After some time, I was like, I don't think I want to do the clinical aspect of this. I might take it home with me. I'm sensitive, be an empath. it might be too much. I was introduced to the wellness field in 2005. I began to love learning about it, love about wellness, health, nutrition, physical activity, and supporting a health and well-being. In mid 2008 to late 2008, I began to be sensitive to many foods. I felt crappy, literally like bad. I had bad inflammation after eating almost everything. And it's like something isn't right. And then in late 2008, after confiding, meeting with my aunt who's a nutritionist, another chiropractor, functional doctor, and a nutritionist, recommended I do a detox to come off of gluten, sugar, and other foods. My aunt knew what was going on in my life. She knew I had a history of anxiety, depression at times, and she really recommended that cutting out gluten could be beneficial. So as it turns out, I've been gluten-free since December 13th, 2008. So yesterday was 14 years. Someone actually commented a couple hours ago asking, what was the process like? What kind of foods did you eat? When you transitioned to foods and so forth. When did you notice the difference? And there's a couple answers to that. I'm going to kind of touch on both of those. When I first went gluten-free, I ate many processed gluten-free foods. So I would get the gluten-free pancakes, gluten-free waffles, gluten-free breads, gluten-free crackers. They worked okay for a little while. They served their purpose. They're gluten-free. They're crackers. They don't have gluten in them. So they did okay. But after like a year and a half or so of eating those, I began to realize, especially during times of stress, anxiety, where I wasn't feeling completely whole and balanced as a person, whether it's job situations, personal situations, that those processed gluten-free foods, and again, there's nothing against them, but they're basically as not bad, but they're very inflammatory. They contain many inflammatory ingredients. As Brittany and I mentioned, it's really important to look at the first two ingredients on the label of a product. If it says potato starch, rice starch, tapioca starch, it's predominantly going to be consist of those ingredients. So I realized most of the packaged, barcoded box gluten-free foods were okay, but I never really felt full. I would get blood sugar spikes, crashes afterwards, and it really was an interesting time. And then in 2010, 11 or so, I transitioned towards more of a whole foods approach. And that's when I began to feel much better. I felt more full. I didn't get the blood sugar spikes, crashes, and like I said, I had much more sustained energy when transitioning to more of a whole foods approach. So going gluten-free is one thing from my approach, from my standpoint, but it's also important to really support your body with whole foods that are going to support your health and well-being, and not processed foods that are just going to maybe make you feel good in the moment and then crash afterwards. And I'm sure I know you've had a similar experience as well with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we're both in, some gluten-free Facebook groups, and both of us are gluten-free. And, we see those things, and I'm like, it's like the gluten-free starter pack in those groups.
Totally.
They go and they're like, look at everything gluten-free I got. And it's gluten-free waffles and gluten-free crackers and gluten-free bread and gluten-free cereal and gluten-free, whatever other processed food, and gluten-free Oreos and all of these
Skittles
things.
are gluten-free.
Yeah, like all of these things. And you have to remember, like, those things are still processed foods. There's lots of foods that are naturally gluten-free, healthy fats, quality
Broccoli.
proteins, vegetables, fruits, like you can eat lots of, real whole one ingredient foods that are just naturally gluten-free. And going from one type of processed diet to all of a sudden a gluten-free processed diet is really not going to do you any benefits. It may help a little bit, because especially if you have gluten intolerance like I do, yeah, you might feel somewhat better because you're not dealing with the symptoms of eating that, but you're still filling your body with these processed foods that are not helping you get any healthier.
Exactly. And it goes back to what we've said many times. And I emphasize this from a holistic perspective. We're going to get into actually today's transition from a holistic standpoint, listening to your body. How do you feel when you eat different foods? You're going to notice difference when you have, say, some lean proteins, vegetables, a salad, whatever you want to sell, but it's still whole foods. You're going to notice a difference when you eat that versus a processed food, versus a cracker, a cookie, or even a gluten-free pizza. And again, nothing against a gluten-free pizza, it's fine. Some people like that's great. But you're going to notice a difference when you eat whole foods that are nourishing, that are going to feel satiating, versus the processed foods within a box barcode and so forth, like I said. And the other perspective, from a holistic perspective, listen to your body when you're around different people. Listen to your body when you're in different environments. And I actually learned this personally, just from personal experience over the past probably year or so. And I tell Brittany this many times and other friends, the importance of emotional energy and listening to your body. When you're around certain people, if anyone follows my Facebook, anybody in here, I love music, and I would Brittany does too. But in the right environment, my body feels whole with the right environment and people. So you can eat great, healthy foods, but if you're in a situation, whether it's in a job situation or a relationship situation, where you're not feeling whole, balanced, and one at peace, your body's most likely going to be in a fight or flight state. So it's not going to be a rest and digest. So your body's not going to be properly digested. And like I said, I've experienced that firsthand. So from a holistic perspective of wellness, that's where your environment plays a big role. Like I said, listen to your body. Do you feel uplifted around some people in environments, whether it's at a personal development event, at a congregation, at church, or so forth? It's really important to take those into effect. And we've actually seen people asking and ask questions in the group. I don't remember the names, and that's not the point. But someone asked, they noticed they've been taking melatonin, they've been taking magnesium, but they still haven't been sleeping well. And I asked, okay, so is there anything else going on in their life? They said, they have recently gone through a divorce or a separation, something like that. So your environment, your personal life, your emotions, that is a holistic perspective of how this is going to come into play there. So it's really important, like I said, really important to recognize that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things that can affect us outside of just food, right? We know that, you and me know at least like how food affects us and our mood and different things. And
exactly,
getting that time outside, not moving our bodies, like we know that those things affect us. But we also know as holistic health professionals, right, that there are those other aspects of life. Like, do you hate your job? Do you have this jerk boss? Like, are you super stressed out because of your kids or, your husband? Maybe there's some tension in a marriage situation. Those things are all going to affect our health as well, even though you may think that they're not related. Oh, that's just a situation, my boss sucks or whatever. But that can definitely affect your sleep, that affects your mood, that affects which then in turn affects your food choices, affects the things that you do, the way you show up in life. So it's really important to look at that holistic approach. And I wanted to ask you, because this time last year, we kind of all came down with the big C. And for the most part, you and me were very healthy to begin with. It was
yeah.
pretty mild. But I want you to talk a little bit more about like that situation and why you believe that you became more susceptible to catching that, despite, having a healthy diet, despite, taking care of your body. And yeah, like I did that immune class the other day, and we know, you're gonna catch stuff. It's just I'm kind
Of
of fighting
course,
something off, right now, but I'm doing a
of
much better
course.
job because my body is strong. But what are some of those factors that can contribute to you catching, an illness and getting sick?
A-
And
abs-
how does your environment play a role in that?
Absolutely. And it's actually interesting you mentioned that, because yesterday I was thinking about that same exact thing. It was yesterday. I remember I tested positive. It was weird. I had happened at my brother's house, so I had to drive 150 miles home from him after experiencing that. That was a wicked experience. Like finding that I'm fine now, so it wasn't like anything really bad happened to me. It's traumatic in its own way. Um, but from that perspective, yesterday I was thinking about, oh, it happened a year ago, and I'm like, I was trying not to fret about it, and like, oh, what if it happens again and so forth. Brittany, I know you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We both listen to him. He's kind of out there, but it makes a lot of sense what he says. So he talks a lot about how your thoughts create your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts create your emotions. Your thoughts create your personality. And he speaks really fast, so listen to him a couple times over and over. But yesterday, I was even thinking about how when I was thinking about what happened a year ago, it was actually bringing my body back into that same state of scarcity, of fight, flight, or freeze in a sense. And at that same time, as you and I, Brittany and I have spoken about over the past, again, year or so, that the number one, two, and I think three susceptibilities for CEO, blah, 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 you know, what I'm talking about is, I think it was stress, obesity, and like one other thing. So, like we were saying, you can do everything. Seems like you're doing everything right. You're taking vitamins. I agree. I recommend them, but it's one piece of the puzzle. So you can take your vitamins. You can eat healthy, but it's also really important. And again, none of us are perfect. I do my best. Brandon does her best as well. But it's really important to recognize where your body, where your mind, your thoughts, and emotions are going, because that's where your body's going to stay, unfortunately, for good or for bad. So if you think healing, if you think of wholeness, and the same thing with Wim Hof. He has a specific breathing exercise where he's able to go into a 30 degree water and be completely fine. And someone actually gave him again, I'm not making any claims, but he's able to do certain things to his immune system in his body to make it whole and be able to basically put up a big defense shield in a sense. So like you're saying, stress and obesity are like the number 1 or 2 susceptibilities. So I was doing things right.
Wasn't the other one low vitamin D?
What's that?
Low vitamin D. And that plays a big role in that
Exactly.
one.
Yeah, that's probably the other one as well. And like, that's simple. You can go outside. It might be tough in the wintertime, but for 10, 15, 20 bucks, you can do vitamin D. So it's really easy to do. But it's interesting but cool you bring this up. But it's so important to do our best with what's going on in our lives, our personal lives, our professional lives, to do our best to maintain a good mindfulness practice. And that's really whatever you want. It could be yoga, it could be breathing exercise, it could be meditation, it can be all those, but maintaining a sense of wholeness, oneness, for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time. And actually, pretty cool too. Dr. Casey Jones is going to come in tomorrow to talk about how breathing affects the body. So from a holistic perspective, from oral health and a holistic perspective as well. So you can hop in about 24 hours or so from now. So it's really interesting you asked this, and I was thinking about the same thing yesterday. Like I said, realizing that thinking about it too much can cause your body to get into that state where you were 365 days ago or so. And it's, again, not as easy. Life happens when you're busy making other plans, John Lennon says. So it's not always easy. The good thing is, people like myself, Brittany, other wellness professionals are here for you to act as a support, as a guide, as a coach along the wellness journey. We have packages, not here to sell it, but just saying you're not alone. Support is so important in the wellness journey. To know you're not alone in it. When I first went gluten-free 14 years ago, I was mostly doing it on my own. I had a little bit of support, but now knowing that there's so many people that are looking for support, you don't have to worry about it alone. Because making a big transition, like having pizza, pasta, breads, carb-related foods, to cutting out that can seem overwhelming, but you're never alone in the wellness journey. I really appreciate you asking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, speaking of that, and you know, people needing help and support, right? I find it so funny, you know, like we get a pipe that busts, right? Who do we call? We call a plumber, right? Our car
Exactly.
breaks down, we call a mechanic. But when our body begins to break down, people try to DIY it and go to Google, and then they're
Right.
lost, they're confused. They, you know, fall into these marketing scams, and they're really so good, right? Because they play on our emotions, they play on our mind. Like, who doesn't want to take a pill and like, boom, you're all fixed? But we know in reality, there is no magic pill to fix anything. All these detoxes and cleanses and things that, you know, people, you know, spend smaller amounts of money on tend to not work, right? And they especially don't work long term, right? Because
Of
we need
course.
that training, we need that behavior change in order to be able to reach those health goals. So I just always find it funny when, you know, we pay money for all these other things, and then when it comes to our health, people are like, oh, wait, no, that's like too much. But we have one body, right? Like, we have one
Absolutely.
body, and we can live a good quality of life, or we can live like most people. If we look around, most people are sick and unhealthy. So what's the missing piece there? Hey, maybe like hiring some help to help you improve your health, you know?
Absolutely. You and I were talking about this last week, actually. We were doing some research on taxes and accounting, and like, we can't do this. Like, this is out of our fields. We're not going to touch this. It would take too much of our time. We would get overwhelmed. But like, we don't live there. We don't live in the accounting space. Other people do, and that's why we going to be speaking with someone tonight actually about that.
Right.
And
Hiring
the
an
same,
expert in their field, right? So like,
exactly.
hire an expert for whatever issue you're struggling with. And if that happens to be your health, hire an expert on health.
Of course, and it's from a perspective. It's health coaches are new, semi-new, new word. People are know what a nutritionist is, dietitian. They know what a doctor is, obviously. Doctors play a role, especially if you, like you were saying, often, you know, if you break your leg, if you have something acute happening, you seek care. Like, we can't really help that as much as we want to. We're not magicians. We can't put subject matter together. So for acute situations, absolutely, you know, go to get things taken care of. The functional doctors too, very, are very beneficial for testing, figuring out what's going on, making recommendations. But in between all that, in between nutritionist, dietitian, doctor, functional doctor, like all these names and acronyms and so forth, health coaches are kind of like the support system. And not just like, hey, good job. Not like I just cheering someone. We can do that too. I'm happy to play support from that perspective. But happy a support perspective and helping you stay on track. Because it's easy to go on Dr. Google, or easy to go on Google or Pinterest and find 20 gluten-free recipes or sugar-free recipes or whatever. But then again, it's like, you can do that in an afternoon, but it might feel overwhelming. Okay, what is good? What is not good? What is going to help me out? But then still like, okay, you know you should be doing this, eating more fruits, vegetables, and so forth. But why? And actually making that jump from why, knowing, to doing, and staying on your path is one of the ways that health coaches like Brittany and I help people on their wellness journey. And it's, like I said a little while ago, I originally went to school for psychology and social work. I love psychology, how the brain works, how people work, what takes people off, what turns people on to doing things. And now it's kind of pretty close to where I started 22 years ago, but more from a proactive perspective, not necessarily dealing with stuff that's very clinical, deep down people's issues, what's helping support people on the wellness journey. So it's, as a health professional, as you can probably tell, something that I'm very passionate about, helping people on their wellness journey and staying on the path. It can be overwhelming. Like we said, like, it's, how do you go sugar free? Like, I don't think about it. I just do it. I know it works for me. So to tell someone they should be cutting back on something that they like how do you cut sugar out? It's possible. There are really healthy and tasty ways to do it, even though people don't think it's possible. Almond flour, dark chocolates, cacao, other really good stuff in it, and it's really freaking good. But it's not like giving you the blood sugar spike and a crash, called inflammation and so forth. So as a wellness professional, that's kind of where we fit in all of that, is the support system, the accountability, the resources, giving people resources, giving people recipes, access to articles, and so forth. It's it's a passion of mine. I feel like it's going to come full circle in a sense from when I went to school for psychology to now.
Right. And that's so, true, I think, with most of us who get into this field, right? Like, we have our own journey, our own thing that we struggle with, and we either have help or overcome this. And then we want to, be able to help others like change like we did. And I think that's, so important. And in terms of when you're thinking about hiring a health coach, you definitely want someone who resonates with you and who's going to work with you and who's going to be, a good fit with you, right? And what you're looking to do. You definitely, because there's a wide variety out there, and there's lots of different certifications and things like that. But if you're, plant-based person, you're not going to want to go work with a keto or carnivore type health coach. So you really want to get someone who resonates with you, but get someone who cares and who's going to listen to you, because having it's more of, like, I like to call, like, an advocate, right? Like,
Exactly. Yep.
we're gonna talk to you about, okay, when you do go to your doctors, like, what are the questions you need to be asking them? What are the types of tests that they should be running? What are the things that they should be helping you with? And even like functional medicine doctors, I can do the lab testing, but if you're going to a functional medicine doctor, yeah, they can do the lab test, but are they going to be able to really work with you on making those changes and be in contact with you consistently? And that's really where a health coach comes in. They're like your buddy that's cheering you on, that is going to help you, that's not going to let you sulk back into your old habits and your old ways. They're going to be one pulling you up and helping you out of these situations, because changes are hard. These changes,
Of course.
especially around the holidays, right, where you're like tempted by all the sweets and the treats and the goodies and everything around. And he said before that really those things, they affect our mood, they affect how we show up, how we feel the next day, how we treat our spouse, how we treat our friends, how we are able to have energy to play with our kids, like all of these things. It's really important to, if you're trying to make these health changes, get the support that you need. Like that's, you need to make the change, do it. Don't Google it. Don't DIY your health. Like, that's not, you're not going to DIY, fixing your transmission. And your body is way more important than your car.
Absolutely. Like I spoke about before, I've had an history of life situations, like talk about it in podcasts. I did okay in school, didn't do great, and kind of find my way around through jobs and so forth that were not fulfilling, both emotionally and financially. And then just trying to find my way through. So throughout my journey, I've really realized how one of those things I post about this often is that how, it's not easy sometimes. Life is worth it. Life is precious, and part of this is realizing that you're not alone in your journey, both in your personal life journey and in your professional too, of course. But you're not alone in it. Realizing that if tough times don't last, you can make it through. There is support available. And I'm sure Brittany and I have both been in conversations with clients about how maybe a third is part nutrition and their health, and then the 2/3 is their life. So we are kind of half life coach, now health coach, in this sense, which is really nice. I love that aspect of supporting them, listening to them, finding what's going on in their life. Because like you spoke about a little while ago, our health is not just dependent upon the food we eat. If that's one piece of the puzzle, we're not just a combination of minerals, vitamins, macronutrients. We are whole beings. Our emotions come into play. Again, like you're saying, are you in a relationship that's draining you, or are you in a relationship that's picking you up? Do you have a good social circle, a community of people with vitamin C connections to be around? Are you living in an area that excites you, though I think you want to do? So it's really a big whole piece of the puzzle, not just giving you some recipes and some kind of sending you on your way. It's one piece there when it comes to that. And I have noticed a big difference in how I feel. So kind of gluten out, sugar out, incorporating good micronutrients and minerals every day to fill the gaps, give your body the nutrients it needs so I can't get from food alone. And be careful what I say, but I've noticed a bigger difference in how I feel with a high quality multivitamin mineral than an SSRI. Not making any claims, and there is studies kind of backing it with Dr. Julia Rustig out of New Zealand. So there is a lot of science behind the neuropsychiatry, incorporating good healthy fats and proteins in addition to other nutrient support.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we were just talking about, I was just at that gym because I'm going to be teaching their stuff, and they asked me my view on protein, because I'm sure, they have these athletes, working out there. And so protein to them is very important. And I was like, yeah, I'm not like most, coaches. I am very pro protein. I think it's extremely important. We have to properly fuel our body with all of the right nutrients. So like protein, we need those healthy fats for hormones, for cellular health, for brain health. We need those carbohydrates mostly coming from vegetables and complex carbohydrate sources, not these refined carbohydrates, but that is going to help us, give us energy to fuel our bodies, to be more active, to do those things. And so it's really important just to focus on those whole foods foundations and really listening to your body. And I love that you always talk about that, is really listening to what your body is telling you, because our body knows what it needs. And so that's really important. And I love that about your coaching, and speaking about that, in terms of your coaching. So like, yes. Who do you help? What do you really like focus on with your clients, and what do you have coming up for the
year? Great question. Thank you for asking. I've told you many times, you're a great interviewer. What do I have? Who do I help? Help people that are looking for whole body, mind, body support. Like we've been talking about, someone that wants the life support in addition to health support, and wants to be supported in the area of natural ways to support mental and emotional health well-being. Like we've been saying, it's overwhelming. It's like, which ashwagandha do I take? Which is adaptogen? Which how to make it gluten-free? How do I figure this out? And it's really recognizing that it can be overwhelming, especially doing a 180 from like basically the standard American diet to transitioning to more local approach. So I help people that are looking for more vitality, energy, that want a clear head. It's really which can be impacted by many things. A clear head can be impacted by stress. It could be because you're eating inflammatory foods. It could be because you're in an environment you're not active. So they want a clear head. It could be also impacted by you're not getting the right or optimal amount of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. So I help people that are looking for, like I said, the healthy and natural approach to mental and emotional health and well-being. And with that, I'm not just going to give you some recipes. Oh yeah, here's some foods, here's some supplements that send you on your way. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about what's going on in your life. We're going to talk about, are you satisfied in your job? I'm not going to tell you to quit your job because that's not right, unethical. If it's really bothering you, it's really getting to you, we might kind of find some ways to make some extra money, something you love, eBay, drawing, writing, painting, or whatever. But we're going to talk about all aspects, many aspects of your life, not that well-being. Like we were saying, like, are you having trouble sleeping because you have trouble paying your bills? Are you having trouble sleeping because you're not connected with the right people? Are you having trouble sleeping because of XYZ? I had a client, it was early in COVID, March of 2020 or so. And she mentioned she was having trouble staying asleep through the night. And I asked her what her bedtime routine was. She said she was watching the news. I'm like, oh shit. I didn't say that to her. I was thinking of it. I'm like, I know you might watch what I'm like, know you might want to watch it, see what's going on. But consider the trend not watching it for a couple nights. And within 2 or 3 days, I think within like 2 or 3 days or so, she was able to sleep through the night. Because the news, is fear porn. True, you're not really going to hear many good things on 1 o'clock at night, something nightly news. Nothing is going to really be very important. So within a couple of days, not watching the news, I think she watched like Seinfeld, something funny, and she was able to fall asleep. So we're going to touch on many aspects of your health well-being, not just the foods, not just the supplements, but your lifestyle. Are you staying active? Are you fulfilled, like I said, in your job and your relationships, and how that all plays together? One of the main concepts that was spoken about in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and Health Coaching course was how our primary foods, like we mentioned, your sleep, your connection, your career, your joy, your happiness, spirituality, and other aspects are more important or as important or more important than the food you put in your body, which is what we're talking about, of course. So we're going to cover all aspects in addition to the food, in addition to your lifestyle and so forth. So with the Rock Your Health Coaching sugar-free program, ideally we're kicking it off end of this year, early next year. And like I mentioned, looking for people that love the resources, looking for supporters on their journey. They'll want the help. They'll want to be able to do it, that are desiring it. It's easy. Our help is like, it's there, like do good for a couple of days or a week or so. And again, life happens. You might go to a party, make it stressed out. Should you be doing certain things? So support is so important on your journey when it comes to that. That's what I'm kicking off. And also the importance of recognizing, like I said, you're not alone. And you'll have the ability to really live our lives to its fullest and work that, like I said.
Awesome. I love that. And it really is so important to have that holistic approach. And I think that, both of us kind of realized that after working with clients for so long, and, you can give them a diet plan, you can give them a workout, right? But if they're not, fixing what's going on in here and what's going on in their lives, they're not going to see long-term sustainable results. So it's really important to focus on that whole aspect of the person. So yes,
absolutely.
Holistic, right? Holistic nutritionist, and that's focusing on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And, because we are spiritual beings. And so it's very important to recognize that. And I think that's, why we've talked about this before, why so many people are just so out of alignment in their lives is because they've gotten so far away from who they truly
absolutely
are. And part of that starts with filling our bodies with clean food, right?
Of course. It's like we said, one piece of the puzzle. One very important piece, of course. We were never always, as a health coach, nutritionist, as you are, obviously, we would never recommend to go and have to. We would never recommend to enjoy yourself, treat yourself, but over the long term, we wouldn't always recommend too much excess in a sense, which can cause issues. But from a whole person perspective, we really recommend the foods, the lifestyle, like the lifestyle aspects, the community aspects, from a spiritual perspective, being connected with nature, with God, with the universe, recognizing the how precious life is. We realized over the past couple of years. I guess that really obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. So if people are interested, oh, Stephanie says, yes, lifestyle changes. Yes, Stephanie, super important, right? Super important to make those lifestyle changes. So Chris, if people
Yes.
are wanting to learn more about your coaching, more they're interested, they want to learn more about your program and what you're doing, what is the best way for them to contact you about that?
Sure. Feel free to reach out to me, send me a private message, direct message on Facebook. Probably the easiest way to do it. I'm connected on my phone pretty often, so happy to support you. Couldn't talk, listen to you where you are. See if one-on-one coaching is something that can be beneficial to you. If that's something that will help support you out, and most importantly, see if we're a good fit. Sometimes you might be looking for support, but you might not be a good fit. I might refer you to someone. Otherwise, we're a good fit. We click well. It's an easy conversation. You like me. You like what I offer. I like what I'm about. So we want to make sure that's in order for that perspective. So feel free to reach out to me. I can have packages available. Something to fit your needs where you are. Like I said, our lives are worth it, and our health is worth it as well. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you also now are able to offer a little bit of testing
Absolutely.
too, which is really neat. And we had Mary from Fresh Start in here recently, and now you are also certified with Fresh Start, so you can offer some some gut health and some food intolerance testing. And so if that's something that you're looking for, Chris can help you with that as well.
Absolutely. It's a wellness journey. I spoke for this many times. I did an hour-and-a-half talk at a local Unity church, I think 2-3 years ago, actually. And it's one of the most important journeys we can go on in our lives. We're going to go on a career journey, going on jobs, building businesses, whatever it might be. We're going to go on a relationship journey with partners, friends, whatever. A spiritual journey that also fills in with the wellness journey. But the wellness journey is one of the most important aspects, things we can do in our lives. And like I said, the wellness journey is going to be going from a spiritual perspective, finding out who you are as a person, what turns you on, what interests you, who you are as a person, what drives you. Are you, like I said, are you working a job that's getting you by, that's not completely satisfying you? And do you know there's more to life? I'm not gonna, I would recommend things as a fit for you, but if you're passionate about something, if you're passionate about painting or writing or drawing or whatever it may be, or singing, whatever it may be, for shits and giggles, for fun, when I was in New Jersey last month, I decided to go see a singing coach for fun. I enjoy doing it. So it's kind of bringing out who you really are as a person, and that can be part of the wellness journey, realizing who you are as the whole spiritual being, being able to live your life to its fullest. It's easy to go through life, kind of getting by and like going to jobs that are okay. It's kind of cool. You're making money, you're paying your bills, but really being able to see who you are, being anyone can say, who the rock star you are. It's like that process. We all have gifts and abilities to share the world, whether it's helping people. For 35 plus years before COVID, my grandma, who I speak with often actually, she was volunteering in a local hospital from till February 2020. So for 30 years, every Wednesday, she would go to a hospital and volunteer. You can volunteer, you can paint, you can be artistic. So I think it's really important to realize that you'll have God-given gifts and abilities to share the world. It's important to recognize that as well from a whole person perspective.
I love that. That's so important. And I'm just super grateful for you, Chris. And I'm so grateful that I got this opportunity to interview you. I mean, we're always interviewing all the other practitioners. So this has been really cool the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
um just we talk a lot, but getting to share what we do with the rest of the group. And like I said, if anybody's interested in learning more about working with Chris, feel free to just send him a message, or you can comment on this as well, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. Also, if you're watching the replay, make sure you leave us a hashtag replay. Anything else before we go, Chris?
I was going to say thank you so much. You've done an awesome, amazing, wonderful job as the host of the past in September. So, and it's cool to see me as a person and not just my post and Facebook lives, but to be able to see that perspective of you being able to interview me, Brittany. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. This was awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. And we will see all of you guys tomorrow when we have a very special guest, Dr. Casey. Like Chris mentioned earlier, she is going to be talking about the importance of breathing and oral health for overall health. And she's also going to be touching a little bit on sleep apnea. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I've met her in person a couple of times, week and a half or so ago, twice in a week. She's amazing. Has a great energy. And actually, it's been asked pretty often. What can I do for sleep apnea, whether as for an adult, as a kid. She was actually working with the woman who cuts my hair. Her has a 7-year-old son. He has pretty bad sleep apnea and tongue tie. And within a couple of visits, she was able to reverse that.
That's awesome. I'm super
So,
excited to.
yeah, but I think pretty cool to see. It's interesting. You and I spoke about the importance of breathing, proper breathing. We can talk about the Wim Hof and being able to manage yourself in the cold and so forth. But it'll be really cool to see hear from a professional how she supports that. 3:30 tomorrow. Be cool to hear that as well.
Yeah, perfect. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again so much, Chris. I hope you
Thank
all
you.
have a great rest of your day. Mary, thank you for watching. And yes, we're super happy to work with you and Fresh Start. And bye, Stephanie. Have a great rest of your day as well. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.